Hey everybody, welcome back to the White Cloaks live here. We're doing a little bit of a, I don't know, hopefully fun video. Before we get started today, just want to say thank you guys for your support and apologize in advance. You can probably tell from my voice a little bit that I'm a little bit under the weather. So if you see me just shoving down throat lozenges and things like that, it's I'm sacrificing my bodies for you. So joining me here today, I got two special guests. We have an extra that may or may not be joining if he wakes up. He told me if he didn't Roger up before the stream, it was probably slept through his alarm. So if he shows up, great. If not, though, we have two excellent guests here. We'll start with, I think we'll go in order that they appeared on the White Cloaks rewatch. So coming in first is our very own Lady Tryp. I'll say lady just because we're going to say lady for both of you guys today. How are you? And by the way, your avatar very festive.
Thank you very much. And I'm
You're
good.
coughing. You're coughing too. Uh-oh.
Yeah, I hope
Must be a
it's
computer
just
virus.
there you go. We'll go with that. How's that? You sound better today though.
That was a terrible joke. I apologize, everybody, about that.
Uh, I'm good. Just a little hungover, so. But otherwise, yeah, thanks for having me.
Well, it's always a pleasure to have you on. Are you emotionally prepared for what we're going to do today?
Probably not because I was already yelling at the 3 seconds I saw. So
Good answer. Good answer. We want to have hot takes only here on the White Cloaks. All right. So without another moment of pausing here, we'll just jump right in and introduce our next guest. Lady Balefire, hey, welcome to the show. Thank you for
Hey
coming on.
guys. Thank you for having me. I don't know if I'm ready for this. I don't know. Alex made me watch a video that was just really traumatic. I know you've seen it, Trip.
no, I saw half of
Some
it.
of it.
Because I could only get through half of it without throwing things at my television. So yeah.
That was something else. I'm just gonna say it was hard to watch, even just watching you guys do your commentary. The takes were just so awful. Well, I guess you guys in the comments section will have to wait until Lady Balefire can do some of her editing magic on that video between her and Alex. It's a reaction video to another, we'll say, Wheel of Time YouTube channel. And speaking of people in the comment section, just want to call some of you guys out. So we have Dempsey who's doing some fire and dragons and stuff like that. Let's see, Gadfly Fiction. Hey, thank you for
I
for
have a
coming
large
out.
thing of chai here.
Yeah. Let's see. Kevin Adams is in the chat today. Started drinking an hour ago in preparation. Yeah, that's good. We got a this person. I think I might recognize this person. Potentially underage. We'll hide that. Shield Wall the Dragon is in the chat. Thank you for showing up as well. And then we have this Lady Balefire person, this Tryp person. Just some other random people. Oh, hey, there's Kale Adair is in the chat. We'll be I think playing AD&D with OBG70, although it's not live streamed anymore. It's just in his Discord, so you'll have to go over there. Spaced Oyster, a veteran of the rewatch himself. And let's see, anybody else I recognize here? Oh, we got Loyal Be Brief. Good to see you. Thanks for coming out. And I think that's everybody who's on for right now, other than, again, this Tryp person. So, okay, you guys are probably wondering what it is that we're doing here today. So there was a Q&A between Rafe Judkins, the showrunner for the Amazon Prime Wheel of Time TV show. Oh, here we go. We got We got Jonathan R. and Son of Joxer both here as well. Thank you guys for coming on. All right. So Amazon Prime Wheel of Time TV show showrunner Rafe Judkins did a Q&A with the folks over at Dragonmount. And I got to say, did you guys know that this was happening before kind of I told you about it? I feel like it was not super widely publicized.
Mm-mm.
No, I ran across a link to that question thing somewhere. Now I don't remember where I ran across the link, and I was, oh, Reddit. I'm never on Reddit, but I get notifications in my emails, and that was one of the things that popped up, and I was like, well, goody.
Apparently, Murder Santa PFP with race. We are not espousing or promoting violence here on the White Cloaks.
The views of the comment of the
Yeah, exactly. All right, so you said you heard about it from Reddit.
Yep.
Okay. All right. Well, I found out about it. I mean, just a couple of days ago, I saw some stuff on Twitter about it and a few other places, and I was like, okay, hey, we gotta do something here. The Q&As in the past have been bad, right? Like we've done a couple of the previous ones, and I was expecting a lot. But what I will say is that this was nothing like the previous kind of Ask Me Anything Q&A that I think was done on Reddit and elsewhere. So I have here a rundown of some of the questions. So we did a video of it. So I recorded their video. I did a super cut of it. But because I did cut out some of the questions and answers, they just not particularly interesting. So stuff that was asked were hard-hitting journalistic questions like, what's your favorite Wheel of Time curse word?
Oh my God. Burn me.
As if those were in the show. Hello.
What kind of fun pranks does the cast play on each other?
Oh my God.
What types of media, so TV shows and movies, is Rafe Judkins personally watching right now? What should the Wheel of Time fandom be called? And this one I left in. This one I did leave in because I think that it's just fantastic. What's your favorite dinosaur? So,
woo, hard-hitting question for real journalists.
Really strong stuff happening here.
We didn't get what is FFH stand for?
We did not.
Oh, that was a good question. Oh my goodness.
Darn it.
We did not get that. So I just wanted to bring up, so one of the things, it went around on the Discord, where you could submit questions to, right? So the Q&A only lasted, I think, about like 45 minutes or so. It was not particularly long, which, if I'm being charitable, Rafe could be a very busy guy, and so maybe he didn't have much time to deal with them. That's possible. But given the what is your favorite dinosaur, what is your favorite Wheel of Time curse word, and what should the fandom call themselves, they were clearly padding out the questions with, we'll say, not particularly interesting questions, right?
Maybe our questions were just too much for them.
So I know that our Discord submitted a lot of questions.
Questionable questions, I'm quite sure.
I know. I was like, when are we actually going to get an adaptation of the Wheel of Time? Because I'm still waiting.
Yeah, for sure. But they didn't use any of our questions, unsurprising. Although I felt like I really tried to give a question that I thought that they would use. I sprinkled it with all of the appropriate sort of shibboleths that I thought would signal that I was a potential member of their team. I used some gender non-binary pronouns, and I asked a question that I thought was very charitable sounding, but that would hopefully provoke an answer that was so ridiculous. They didn't use my question either, though, so not sneaky enough. But I think that they might not have gotten very many questions that were not critical of the show. That's the takeaway that I have. What do you guys think?
Yeah, they don't want real questions.
I mean, something, right? Like there's got to be something to explain the fact that they weren't asking real questions. But I don't know. What do you guys think, chat? Should we just get into it?
Yeah. Rip the Band-Aid off, Pips. Do it.
All right, rip the Band-Aid off. Okay. So here you go, guys. Again, this is a supercut. If you want to see the entire thing, which you're free to live your life the way that you'd want to. I watched the entire thing while I was recording it, so it is possible to do and survive. You could go do, but these are people that work for Dragonmount, and I think that I left this part in at the beginning because I think that it really signals what we're in for. So I'm going to do this. I'll try and adjust the volume here for the stream. You guys in the comments, tell me if you think this is, good in terms of volume level.
Thank you everybody for coming to join us today. Obviously we are Dragonmount, and this is a special edition of my usual Saturday Live. As you can see, I am joined by the lovely and amazing executive producer, magical unicorn Kathy.
Oh my god!
And there's this very weird kind of blank space in this area. I don't know. Maybe someone special.
I can't do the unicorn thing.
I just want to point out here. This guy does a lot of streaming, and he's pointing in the wrong direction for the stream. Like he's holding a hand up like this.
I have problems with that, but I just don't do it. I'm just like up there.
Anyway, okay. Yes. Unicorn person. I'm not sure what are those cat ears in a unicorn? I don't know. Anyway, let's get in. This is the real reason I left this in.
Should be coming in there.
I don't know. Are you guys? Do you want to?
Oh my god! Look, it's Rafe Judkins!
Oh my god! What a surprise!
Dark friends.
Yeah. This is what journalism looks like, guys. This is not at all Access Media shilling. This is serious, hard-hitting journalism where you screech and sort of emote just your love and devotion for the subject of your interview. I guess yeah.
I think she was a little more than emoting there.
Yes. And what is Daniel saying here in the chat? Yeah, that's probably fair. You know what, Daniel, that's a good point, and I'm going to try and do better. I'm going to try and do better and be less critical about streaming skills, and hopefully, you know what, it's a pot calling the kettle black sort of situation. I recognize that we are the insurgent sort of YouTube channel. This dude, they have like thousands of subscribers. They're the official face of Dragonmount, which is like a major actual website that's been around in the Wheel of Time community for a long time. So I feel like they should be better than us. I guess that's all I was saying. I was just saying I feel like they should be better than us. Anyway, okay. Hard-hitting question number one. I think we're getting into
that paper reveal was flawlessly pulled off.
I am super professional.
They
I don't know if
just
you know that.
see, professional. He said it.
All right,
he said it.
Started. Let's go.
Go right in. So we got you in the hot seat now. So we're gonna we got to ask the hard-hitting, right down to the
really.
So right off the bat, what is your favorite dinosaur?
Oh my god.
This is this is where my soul died a little bit watching this.
You had life left in your soul.
This is where I really realized I was like, what am I doing that here,
what this question really epitomizes? It epitomizes just their idea of how there's so much material in these books, we couldn't possibly put it into the show. But hey, here's 3 episodes of filler, original story BS that we added. Same energy.
Yeah, this right here, shield wall, 100% correct here. Limited time, and these are the questions they're asking, which tells me they didn't have much more. I think I leave his answer in here, even though realistically the question was actually what I wanted, but we'll see.
My favorite dinosaur has always been
I did. I left it in here because he thinks so hard about it.
Pachycephalosaurus.
Like he thought for like a long time about that and then came up with a really obscure dinosaur, which like I guess like you'd have to know that you're gonna have to like that may be his favorite dinosaur. What do you guys think? Is that there's one of two things. It's either his favorite dinosaur and it's a really obscure dinosaur, which is like a weird thing to have as a favorite dinosaur, or he knew these questions were coming before they asked him.
I'm quite sure they had to submit their questions to him.
Oh, you are probably right. I think that's it.
And then he probably got to pick and choose. So, maybe they did submit some of the tougher questions and they just got refused. That's possible.
With Gadfly, he put more thought into that than he put into the entire show. Yep.
Favorite ice cream, honestly, would be a step up, I think. Okay, you know what? You've won me over. I think you're right. I think he probably knew these questions in advance, which is really funny because some of the questions that I cut out, like I ended up cutting sections because like he didn't ever answer the question that they asked. But anyway,
Nice. All right. Now that we've gotten that off the bat, we're gonna probably get waffled, but we're gonna, we're gonna try. We saw a recent report from Delhi Comic-Con suggesting season 2 would be premiering in early 2023. Is there any truth to that?
I can say that there's some truth to it, in that I do believe season 2 will be premiering in 2023.
I guess that's I struggle with him saying, I do believe it'll be premiering in 2023.
And there is some
dying.
truth to that.
I
was dying as he was giving.
I'm latching on to that hesitation. That's a good sign.
I was dying because he was giving like this Aes Sedai answer of like, maybe there's like some truth. 2023, yeah, probably.
I think early there's still a lot of work that we've got to do on the show in post VFX, all of that. So I would not expect it in early 2023, but you can't expect it in 2023.
That's good because I'm really excited.
He's trying so hard to be coy there.
He is,
and I just I want to throw up, and the hangover's not helping.
Yeah, like it's funny because I'm just like thinking in terms of it. It's not a front running show. It's probably something that's going to be dumped. So it's kind of like this early time of the year is like the dumping ground for stuff. They're not going to do it a release in fall sweeps because that's when all your primetime stuff comes out. Maybe this summer.
Well, I want to know, I'm sure they didn't ask this or you would have said something somewhere, but I wish they would have asked how his being a showrunner for, no, I'm not starting the controversy, don't go there, chat. But since he's now going to be the showrunner for God of War,
you're getting ahead of us. You're getting ahead of us here. So
okay. Is there a question in here somewhere about that?
I didn't list most of the questions that I left in here. So
okay.
Ones that I didn't say before are some of them might be in here.
I will watch and find out then, won't I?
Exactly.
It was also recently reported that you are going to be heading as another showrunner for a recently picked up series. I believe it's
literally 5 seconds later.
So people might be.
Yes. Yeah, well, it's funny for me. I mein, this is something I've been working on for a long time with Mark and Hawkins. So the announcement just came out, but it's something that we've known about and been involved with for a while. So it's like, it's really exciting. I love the games.
Do you guys believe that he's played these games?
No,
probably not. And there is a ton of lore there. There is so much more lore than even Wheel of Time. So yeah. No.
I just can't believe, like, just knowing from the industry, it's like, how do you look at this guy and say you are the best person for the job? You are the most competent person for the job because he acts like an airhead and he can't even definitively talk about his own work. It's like, come on, dude.
So there's a later part. I can't remember exactly where it comes up, and it may have been cut. If it's not, if it's in there, you'll hear this again. But he was talking about how when he was pitching Wheel of Time, 3 or 4 years ago at this point, he was, during that time of his career, he was getting lots of interest from the industry because of the work that he'd done on previous projects. He was getting pitched shows all the time, all this stuff. I was like, how? You were a nobody.
Didn't he just do reality TV?
Yeah, he was on Survivor, and then he had like 3 sort of credits of like writing, like, you know, episodes. He was a member of the writing room for like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and Chuck and like a couple others. The controversy was like, you know, late Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., late Chuck, which is like when they got real bad.
I'm gonna say it's probably got the job from nepotism or something like that.
There you go. Kevin confirms. Yeah, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. So anyway, yeah, there's definitely some weird stuff there, but he's going to do God of War, and he says, I think here in a minute, it's not going to be a problem.
You guys are great, really smart. I love The Expanse. I'm sure many others are fans as well. Iron Man, also a good film. Don't know if you've seen it.
Oh, The Expanse, Iron Man. Shows that are so much better than anything that he's done, and he's just hoping that they make this show good, so his name will be attached to it. Oh man.
No, so it's great. It's a really it's just a really fun project to work on, and I've always worked on other stuff while I'm working on Wheel, so it'll never affect like my commitment to Wheel, obviously. But it's something that I'm really happy to be working on because I really love it, and it's also really different than Wheel in a lot of ways. So it's a good balance to do between the two.
Do you think there's anything?
You know, I'm almost thinking that if he got this job, like maybe he got shit canned from Wheel of Time.
Well, we could wish.
He's still. So he says in this, I mean, I don't know. I don't want to get too conspiratorial, but he said in this interview that they just finished wrapping up the writing stuff for season 3. So apparently the last couple weeks they've been finishing up the writing for season 3. And he said at the start of this, I think I cut it just to smooth out the conversation. He said that, you know, that's what he was doing up until like yesterday. Yesterday, they wrapped the writing.
Well, God of War fans do not at me, but I almost hope that he becomes so involved in that he has to let the Wheel of Time stuff slide, because the less he has to do with the Wheel of Prime, the better it might actually be.
Yeah. Yeah, I have a hard time thinking that we would not be better off with just almost literally anyone else as a showrunner. It's interesting. There's a conversation we're going to get into where like he starts going on about the Wheel of Prime, and you hear the conversation about like things that they had to do for their season 2 story. That controversial take on the White Cloaks. Like listening to him talk about it, I was like, actually, you know, I can kind of see how he might actually like the series, and is just completely incompetent, right? Like I think that it's still an open question, is what I'm saying. Is that like the conversation about, you know, malice versus incompetence? Like I think on the rewatch we kind of were like, no, it's got to be malice, right? And then I watched a part of this interview, and we'll get to it in a minute, where I was like, maybe it's just incompetence, right? So like I keep on going back and forth with this guy.
I am not going to be so charitable with that. You don't go around saying like, well, if you complain about how we do this show, we're just going to make everyone gay.
Oh, I mean, he is a small, petty, malicious person. I'm just saying like it's possible that he actually did read and like the books and is just an incompetent showrunner. So
I don't think he's incompetent. I think he's a person that has his own agenda, and he's going to shove it down everything he makes, and he's incompetent as well. So it's probably both.
And Gadfly fiction. Well, I agree. And it'll be an interesting question. I think we'll put a pin in this. We'll get back to it when he starts going off on this conversation.
Well, we'll put a pin in it after I get to comment.
Okay. Yes, please.
To be truly fair, I think it's a combination of several things. I do think he probably is a fan and has read them. I do think there is some maliciousness in there, that and arrogance and things like that, where he thinks he can make Jordan's story better Okay. And I think he's incompetent. I also think, yeah, the Amazon executives did rather get involved in it. So it's kind of a little bit of a complex stew going on there, but it still boils down to he's made shit out of the Wheel of Time.
Yeah.
So
So
he bears
I'm gonna push back.
responsibility for all of it.
I'm going to push back a little bit on the word fan. So you said like, maybe he is a fan. I actually got in a conversation with the Daily Trolloc, aka Narg, on Twitter about this recently. I think that the term fan is different than just I read something and I liked it. I don't think that I don't think you can be a fan of something and want to change it. For example, I consider myself a fan of the Wheel of Time. There's a lot of issues that I have with the Wheel of Time, from characters to plot events to pacing to whatever, right? But I wouldn't ever change the Wheel of Time. I wouldn't want to change it. I wouldn't want to do things differently than Robert Jordan did them, because as a fan, I respect the artwork that is Robert Jordan's work. It's kind of like, if you're a fan of, any other artist, like would somebody who says that they're a fan of Banksy go up with a rattle can and correct one of his art pieces?
Well,
No.
true. I mean, good point. And I do agree to an extent, but even as a fan, I think you can maybe wish that a few things were a little bit different or done differently. But I do agree that you would not actually be arrogant enough to go, okay, I want to change this, or I need to change this.
And that's really what I mean. Just, having things that you recognize, hey, if I was writing this story, I would have done it differently, is not the same as saying I would change it if I had the power to do so. And that is, I agree with you, the arrogance there. All right, Lady B, you want to jump in there? Otherwise, I'll hit play and we can move on.
No, keep going.
That you can take that you learned or experienced in Wheel of Time over to that show in any way, or?
Yeah, so much. I mean, that it's a
okay. People who are fans of God of War, we're sorry. We the collective Wheel of Time community are responsible for this monster. He attached himself like a parasite onto a huge IP. He's made a name for himself somehow, and now he's latching on to the God of War here. And apparently he's taking lessons he learned from Wheel of Time over to God of War. So good luck with that, guys. Man.
Very different project and medium to adapt. So in a lot of ways, things are very different than adapting something like Wheel of Time, but especially from a production perspective, like we've just learned so much. And, the world, when we first started filming Wheel of Time, it was kind of only Game of Thrones that had attempted something so large before. And so now there's so many shows that are doing it. I've gotten to know a lot of the showrunners of those as well. There's so many really smart women and men who are
Oh, we had to throw in recognition of smart women, didn't we? Thank you, Rafe.
Affirming women, go Rafe.
I did not feel validated until he said that. Jeez.
Can I ask a question here? So I am honored to have two guests, both I would say women, but I can't actually assume that. So can you both publicly on the record say are you women? Is that
Are we doing this Eye to Eye style?
There you go. It's not that kind of stream.
I am woman, hear me roar. Is that what you want?
This is streaming on YouTube. We'd get taken down. If it was on Twitch, it'd be okay.
So you guys got like the 18+ subscribe star. Just kidding.
I don't know. The classes still don't believe I'm female. So, I'm just faking this voice. That's what I'm doing.
So the question I was going to ask you here, and I paused it after this just because out of happenstance, but also it was a legitimate question that I had. So he said smart women and men. The two of you are women. People in the chat, please feel free to jump in on this. When you guys say women and men or men and women, what's the most common way to say that? I feel like, and maybe this is just
Just
my
say
my
it. Everyone
patriarchal-
says men and women, but like they like
That's-
saying that
thank
because they're
you.
communists and they like controlling the
feel-
language. Because if you control the language, you control how people think.
Okay, so like I feel like I felt like I was taking crazy pills when I watched that. I was just like, I feel like men and women is an expression. Women and men, like obviously it still says the same thing, right? Granted. But I feel like you would have had to have like deprogrammed yourself to make women and men be the thing that comes out of your mouth without thinking.
Yeah, that was very deliberate. It was.
Right? Like that. I don't know. I will admit it's a really random thing to have noticed potentially.
You know what?
But
This is kind of esoteric, but I would just say listening as a production, somebody trained to work in the industry, like his answers are not anything I would say that even demonstrates a half of working knowledge or competence about what he's doing. I mean, I don't know anything about a God of War, but if I ask this question, I would say, look at the source material. There's two different things. It's like, look at God of War. I've kind of seen some images of it. It's like, I would think, there's going to be a lot of different CGI considerations. There's going to be a lot of like this. We're going to have to adapt the story differently because like a lot of video games aren't exactly linear and we need to sort of figure out what the core of it is, who are the characters we're going to do. Like nothing in his answer says anything to the competence of the job he's doing.
Yeah. I mean, generally the idea that he's taking lessons from this. Yeah. I think he goes on a little bit more about it.
Doing this and figuring out how to put these things together. And so I think if anything, I've learned a lot about the production aspect of it that will, I think, be useful in going into God of War and also flick back into Wheel of Time, hopefully, of like things that we can find out about that because,
Why didn't you know this shit before starting Wheel of Time?
Yes. Exactly the point that I was going to ask. Of like, man, if only we had like an experienced showrunner responsible for a, over $100 million production, right?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
The fun thing about making film and TV is that it's always changing and there's always new technology, new cameras, new things.
He also keeps looking up and away from the camera a lot.
So it's fun. It's fun to be able to do both.
Excellent.
Well, isn't that okay? I can't remember which is which, but if you look right, you're accessing one part of your brain. If you're looking left, you're accessing a different part of the brain. And if you're looking one way, you're lying. And if you're looking another way, you know what I mean? I think there's probably some of people who are good at micro expressions could probably analyze that.
So here's the thing, right? So from what I remember, and chat, maybe you can help me out here if one of you guys wants to Google this. My recollection is that up and right is deceitful, up and left is generally truthful.
But is this camera mirrored?
And that was the exact thing that I was going to get to.
Well, and I also think maybe a lot of it is, even after all this time, he's having to still think very carefully about his answers and, make sure they're presented in the right way.
Yeah.
And phrased in the right way. There's no, like, I can just say, oh, well, here's the answer to that without really thinking about and being very careful about the PR aspect and how he's presenting things, which I hate.
Yeah, me too.
So, and this Daniel, I think is, there's no way to know if the camera is mirrored. I guess so. He does kind of have his hair parted in a direction. So, maybe we could figure it out. I don't think that we can necessarily say that he's like lying or being deceitful about these things. That's not the avenue that I wanted to get down. I was mainly just going to say that it's like a weird affectation when you're having a conversation with somebody to do it so consistently. Again, especially as somebody who's like kind of in media and has been on TV and been behind TV. I don't know. It was just really weird watching over and over and over again throughout the stream. But I probably
Shieldwell actually brings up a good point as well. That he's probably looking at his handler. His Amazon handler.
I thought about that too. There's one point where he actually said a line. I think it got cut just because the conversation they were having was just inane. He had a line that I actually kind of laughed at, and I give credit where credit is due. He said something that legitimately made me laugh. And also, like, I think is telling about the production. He said that, I've sworn more than 3 oaths to Amazon. and I was like, that's
don't bring up the oath rod, dude.
It's actually funny on some levels. So all right, let's get back into this.
Can't wait to hear about it. Along those same lines of lessons, Sean was wondering what major lesson did you learn that you took from season 1 that helped inform your process or the structure or the setup or anything for season 2?
Yeah, I think season 1 coming in, we had a very clear plan of doing a longer season to tackle that and had to compress it. And so going into season 2, we tried to be, obviously I have my long-term plan for the show. And so that all shifts with 8 episodes instead of 10 episodes. But going into season 2 with more foreknowledge of how long it would be, we were able to try to figure out ways to get longer episodes in, figure out how to.
They would have known 8 episodes before they even started filming, right? Like even before they started writing, when they had the contract with Amazon, like it would have been set, right?
Yeah, streaming shows go for like 8 episodes. That's like their new model. But like seriously, how do you not know this? It's like you have to plot things like on freaking when you write a TV show. It's like there's like the individual episode arc. There's the 2 episode, 3 episode arcs. There's the arc that goes through the whole story. It's like you can't just fly on the seat of your pants because things that'll happen in one episode carry on to the other. You can't like just act like you don't plan this. It's pretty meticulously planned. This is just silly. Again, this man is completely incompetent. I wouldn't hire him to make a freaking cat video.
Well, yeah, but you'd probably want to make the cat video yourself anyway.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
Well, and you have pretty high standards for cat videos, I think.
I kind of do. I'll have to post a video I made of my cat someday.
Hey, Zach, thanks for stopping by. Okay, so I think he goes on to something. This might be kind of the interesting part here.
To get more of the story that we need to tell, because we have, if we had a lot of story to tell in season 1, we have a massive amount of story to tell in season 2. It's
it only gets bigger
traveling at times. And so I think a big lesson we learned was being able to approach it from the beginning like that, and in some cases, changing the story more in order to be able to get through the whole story more effectively.
All right.
No, just don't. Just stop. Step away from the vehicle.
Here's the start of the conversation where I was like, okay, he's describing something that is not necessarily a terrible conversation to have about like, well, how do you approach the entire series instead of just the individual books, right? So like, Robert Jordan was writing one book sequentially. Like now that we have, all 14 of them together, like it's okay to like look at the whole arc of the show, right? Like, or the series. That makes sense to me, right? Especially when like you say, okay, we're going to have to do compression. We're going to have to do cuts. Like, okay, like have to is a little bit of a, kind of created problem when you're like negotiating contracts for the number of like episodes and seasons and things like that. Right. But sure. The studio has the rights for release and they have the schedule of like how many episodes they're going to buy for it. Right. So now you have to do that, whether or not it's, in the grand scheme of the universe, the thing you had to do. But where it gets weird is like, how do you take this conversation and then look at season 1 and you see episodes 4 and 5, and even episode 6, right? So episodes really 5 and 6, the worst actually, probably, but also 4 as well, where they just added shit, like all of this stuff they just shoved in there, right?
Yeah, his answers don't align with the reality. Like he's definitely lying about this. It's like there wasn't so much you did. It's like you decided to make this your own story and tell the story you wanted to tell. And apparently like Amazon didn't care about it enough to like insist on something better. And everyone hates it. And now you're trying to justify, oh, we couldn't fit everything in. But, here's 3 episodes of filler BS. Like, I can't deal with that.
Well, and okay, so you need to compress things and even maybe switch things around a little bit, right? So that I do get that. But that doesn't mean you also assassinate the characters and
Yes.
their arcs, because
Yes.
that changes the overall story arc itself.
Yes. And that's why.
Yes.
So I think there's an interesting conversation, and I think if we play a little bit more, we might get a little bit more of this conversation he has about the idea behind trying to adapt the story. So he talks a little bit about season 2 and books 2 and 3. And he actually quotes having talked with Brandon Sanderson, which you'll hopefully get that here in a second.
Effectively, so it's kind of a counterintuitive thing where I feel like sometimes we can actually pull off some of the story pieces and delivering on things from the books more effectively if we don't try to hit every single tiny beat of it. Because
all right, screw you though. Right. We can pull off the story more effectively if we don't tell the story.
Yeah, just stop writing, just stop making this stuff, and like just walk away from the vehicle.
I can't wait until Rafe, starts to release whatever, some kind of courses on, being a being a scriptwriter or a showrunner or a
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Because the adaptation we're doing is just at a different scale than other things in terms of like the amount of page. We're trying to do, if we get our whole series, we're doing like 200 pages an episode versus Game of Thrones 50 pages an episode.
Right.
You have to sort of like, it's a little more.
Shut the fuck up, Rafe.
Yeah, seriously, it's like
sorry.
Game of Thrones is good. Like, okay,
So,
I think people just do so bad things with comparing stuff to Game of Thrones. Like, you're not helping yourself by comparing yourself to something that's not bad.
Yeah, true. But again, like limited amount. I will say I think that the thing he just said is actually a true statement. That adapting the Wheel of Time in the amount of seasons and episodes that they're giving themselves, thanks to Amazon and him and the back and forth, like it is a lot of book to put into each episode, more than even other shows like Game of Thrones. But that's when we get into the conversation that a lot of you guys just had in the chat about like, cool, but then how do you justify the new shit, right?
Right, but I'll push back a little bit now on. Okay, yes, the Wheel of Time is huge. The books are long, but there is also a lot of parts in there that, are talking about women's dresses and, a lot of things that the fandom itself has talked about for years. So if you pulled all of that out, I have no idea, and we need Dane on here for that. But if you did take out all that, I don't want to call it extraneous material, but in a way in this conversation it is. If you pulled that out and kind of brought it down to the bare bones of the actual story and plot, would it really be that many pages? No.
So there is a Wheel of Time abridged or reread edition that exists online. You can go and find it. And a couple of fans got together, to my knowledge. This is how I understand the project. A few fans got together and they basically took the series and they cut out like anything that had been said before. They cut it out. So like when the series describes the One Power again for like it's the 4th book, and in case you forgot from the 3rd book, they like cut all that stuff out. They cut a lot of like descriptions of dresses and clothing, like the purple prose stuff. They cut a lot of stuff out. And they like the slog, they kind of condensed and cut down. And I think they turned 14 books into 10. And then the books themselves were about 20% shorter. So like that has been done. And the series is a lot less.
Well, and we all know there are also, smaller scenes and characters that, are great as part of actually reading the book and the story, but that don't necessarily have to be in an adaptation because you are trying to bring it down.
He's going to talk about the writing room's favorite minor characters.
Oh my God.
I mean, Like when you do adaptations as a writer, it's like, okay, if you're compressing or changing something, does it make it better? Does it clarify this? And does it help? And a lot of people will get on me for saying this, but films and TV have budgets. Like you can't go to every single location. Like one thing I would do if I was going to adapt Eye of the World is I would make what happens in Baileron happen in Camelin too. So they could do everything that happens there. It would compress time, save on shooting locations, and it's still going to honor the main themes of the story and stuff like that. So you could have all of the journey to get to Camelin happen, so they still have that, and they run into Dark Friends and stuff like that. But like, it would just save on like.
And they could have thrown something in there about the Warder Bond if they really wanted to bring that to the fore at the front, rather than an episode of that.
I don't want to get involved in that fight.
Yeah.
I just want to say that if budget and locations was an issue, it wouldn't be in this show because they reuse the sets already. So Tar Valon and Shadar Logoth were the same sets. They could have made it the same set for Tar Valon, Camelin, and Shadar Logoth and Baerlon. Screw it, whatever. Baerlon's a big city now. Like these people. Clearly reusing sets isn't a problem, but let's try and push on here.
People are probably shaking and dying in the chat right now, but like there's more remixing kind of sometimes to be able to deliver the story overall. For season 2 especially, one of the first things Brandon
he gets into it. Brandon Sanderson.
I'm going to. Sorry. But when I first talked to Brandon Sanderson about the show and my worries about the overall adaptation, I was like, one thing I'm thinking about is that books 2 and 3 both have the same narrative arc, essentially, of landing with Rand in a confrontation from a man who will come to realize this is Shamael. And like, how do we... You can't do that in television 2 seasons in a row because that doesn't work in that context. And he said the same thing of like, you have to combine those two, even though there's these incredible stories that are in both of those books. If you told them sequentially like that, it would sort of break it down, which was his same instinct as well. And so I think one of the big challenges we face with season 2 is it's sort of like, I think you'll feel this when you watch it, is almost like we throw up some of the juggling balls at the end of season 1, where it's like, okay, here's a bunch of pieces that we've put in play. This is foundation here. All the pieces go up. And by the end of season 2, you'll see them start to all land in places that set up the Shadow Rising.
Oh, okay. That was a long kind of cut there, but it was, it's Rafe's, sort of speech the whole time. So any sort of YouTube overlord monitor people, this is just this is journalism, right? We're taking the press release of a show and we're talking. This is fair use. It's a public statement made. So what do you guys think? I mean, on one hand, I want to say that the core idea that like changes would maybe need to be made, and having Rand like fight a Shamael twice, like in the end of season 2 and the end of season 3, I can kind of understand maybe where Brandon Sanderson would have been talking about that, but like in my mind, he's lost all credibility to be the guy who potentially can make that statement, right? So if season 1 looked like it was made by professionals, if season 1 looked like it was made by people who care about the story, and I talked to Dane about this before, and he and I were saying, okay, if that's the mentality that you have to like, hey, the studio is saying that we can't have season 2 and season 3 end with the same, Rand fights the Dark One and like kills him, but doesn't really kill him. Okay, well, like downplay a Shamael at the Stone of Tyr, make the fight with Belal kind of the bigger sort of final kind of moment there at the Stone of Tyr, and just have Ishamael be dead but not dead from Falm, right? So like he kills him in Falm but doesn't really kill him. He shows up later as Moradin. Like why would you have to just throw the baby out with the bathwater and like take these 2 great books and try and, chimera monster them together in what I think we're going to see in season 2?
Or here's a really good question. I mean, what really happened between Rand and Ishii at the last, like, at episode 8? I mean, like, there wasn't a fight. Like, he's complaining about, like, repeating a story arc that he didn't even do. So, what's the deal?
I agree with you there, but he was talking about, I think, the fight at Falm and the fight at the Stone of Tyr. So the book 2 and book 3. But anyway,
Well,
what do
if
you guys think
you-
here? This is to preface before you jump in, Tryp. I apologize for cutting you off. This is the part where I was like, man, if I believed that he was a fan of the series, like I can understand a person talking about it this way and trying to solve this problem, right? The problem is that he's lost all real credibility with me as a fan, given the ways that he's undermined season 1, the way that he undermined the Eye of the World, the way that he threw out important parts of the Eye of the World and important parts of these characters, and then like tries to sort of say, see, we did this well in the season 1. Aren't you ready for season 2? Like, no. So anyway, sorry, Tryp.
No, and that you touched on what my point was going to be is if he had credibility from how season 1, like if he had done season 1 really well, even with changes, whatever, if it had been done well and conveyed, the story and setting up the arcs and the foreshadowing and different things, then I would possibly trust him to be able to look at books 2 and 3 and put those together in a meaningful way, and a way that honored the story and, set it up for the future seasons. But he has absolutely no credibility as far as I'm concerned. It's just going to continue to go off the rails. I do think regretfully that we are going to get a season 3. And I think what we're going to see is, you think season 1 was unrecognizable from the actual IP. By the time we get to season 3, it's going to be like, what is this?
Yeah. So Daniel, you made literally the exact same statement that I think Dane made to me when we were talking about it briefly. He wasn't able to make this stream, but it's funny that you say that. And the question I was going to have, Lady B, so what's your idea? So with an 8-episode format, no one kind of, show running and production kind of, that world a little bit. Do you think it's even possible to take the plots from The Great Hunt and The Dragon Reborn and do any sort of justice to either one in essentially 4 episodes of television per?
I don't know about 4 episodes.
Just because if you think that the season 2 is going to be 8 episodes and you have the plot from 2 different books, so assuming that you allocate about 4 episodes worth of time to each sort of plot, like, do you even think that's possible? That's what I'm really struggling with here. I think
I don't think you can, because I'm just trying to remember everything, because I've only read the series once through, and I'm trying to remember everything that happens in The Great Hunt. And then Stone of Tyr is something different. I mean, you have the Aiel, you have like Rand finally coming to terms with him being the dragon, like the Calendar. Yeah. It's a different thing.
I think you're 100% right. I think that, the very shallow perspective of like Rand fights Ishamael and then Rand fights Ishamael again, but it's like, he fights the Dark One / Ishamael twice. It's such a shallow look at those 2 books. Like that's, one small kind of aspect of it.
To bring up my favorite character, like with Matt, there is also a lot of setup for his arc there as well, with having to come to terms with having blown the horn, and starting to accept that the duty part of it, even though I still think he, continues to push back against that throughout the entire series. But there's a lot of those things that take place and are set up in those 2 books for the rest of the series for all of the characters, not just Rand.
But if Matt is evil, do they even have to spend time doing anything with his character arc?
Had to go there, didn't you? You just had to go.
I hate what they did to Matt, and I know you love Matt as much as I do, or if not more. And I'm just like, I hate it. It's like, oh, I guess if this guy's just evil, and it's not the dagger, it's Matt. He's bad. Like,
Matt is probably the thing that I have the most difficult time believing. His whole thing there about like, yeah, we threw all the balls up in the air and like, sure, the Eye of the World, the Great Hunt, and the Dragon Reborn, we threw them all into a blender, and like it's a sort of green soupy sort of, trash, whatever is what you're getting here. But at the end of season 2, then all of the pieces will be in place, and the Shadow Rising On is going to be great, right? Like we're going to be set up well. I just don't believe him because like Matt, right? Like Matt is screwed. So okay, let's see.
But a lot of those are taking different paths than we might have anticipated.
Different
from the books,
paths.
because we can't tell those 2 books sequentially. Even though I love the stories in both of them, and they're really strong stories, you just structurally can't do that.
Of course. And the best part about that is like we get to go on this journey through the Wheel of Time again, where we thought we were never going to get any more content. And
oh my God!
Especially for someone who's been in the
we haven't gotten any content, dumbass.
So he says that here in a second.
We don't want new content, you idiot.
That so his like new Wheel of Time content. It's like, no, there is no new Wheel of Time content. I'm sorry, like that shouldn't be a controversial take. Unfortunately, Robert Jordan died. The story that he was telling has been completed to the best that it could be. There's no such thing as new Wheel of Time content. There's just shit that is wearing Wheel of Time as a skin suit. Like this is, if it's different from the books, it's not the Wheel of Time. Like I don't understand how that's a hard thing to understand, right?
They have to play Kiss the Ring.
Yeah.
So along the same lines, we see several ritualistic, almost religious-like practices on screen. To ward off.
Oh my God!
As well as
I almost just want to skip this part. Like it's honestly, they're talking about religion in the show and about how there isn't a religion, and they just go on about like how but it's done so well, and I don't know if I can watch this again. Are you guys could just skip this question?
Yeah.
It's just them sort of fluffing each other about like how great it was to see, and how the show just does such a great job with themes, and it's here we're gonna skip a bit, guys. I apologize. If you really wanted to watch, watch the full length stream on Dragonmount.
Very strong cultures in the Wheel of Time, and what are some of the ways that we could see those cultural
cultures
come into play? And so
he butchered the cultures by deleting them.
There'll be like
he deleted the multiple cultures, right?
Sort of like
it's one culture.
Stories on screen where there's like something in the background of a scene.
Well,
that
there's
sort of
also
suggests this backstory of culture for a place and a history of life there.
There's I feel like if you're saying that you watch the show and you get an appreciation for a diversity of cultures, I'm not sure where you're getting that from. Like Emmons Field looked like, Faldara in terms of, people and clothing and, other than Faldara being a fortress, Gadfly, I think is right here.
There. And I do think those are in the books, like even the maypoles in Two Rivers. Like there's so many examples of this that are sort of like these pseudo-religious ritualistic things that happen.
I should have skipped farther.
So I think trying to find ways to bring those into the show was really important for us, and see, create a world where, for people who don't know the books at all, they're able to subconsciously and subtly take in the idea. You ask most people who don't read the books about religion in the show, and they're like, I don't think there is a religion, but like people come from different places, and you can see that they care about those things, like that scene with Lan and Steppen.
This is just so inane of a conversation to have about the show, right?
What are we talking? Forsaken idols in freaking Steppen's room or something?
That subconscious world building that we're
the subconscious world building of different characters and their cultures.
Dude, really? Because
it's just so.
Okay, correct me if I'm wrong, but I never took religion truly as a big basis for the world building in Wheel of Time at all, other than the acknowledgement of the creator and, like light help us and kind of that good versus evil thing. I never ever really picked up on any kind of big religious overtones at all.
So he's not actually saying that there were religious overtones in the books. He's actually saying, that there's the absence of religion in the book, and yet they created a bunch of rituals in the show. And why is that a good thing? And
well, that's what I mean.
Talks,
it's not there, but they created it.
And he talks for just like minutes and minutes and minutes. He just goes on. Like I skipped some of that. And he just kept talking. By
the way, Steve is
here. I see that. Yeah. Steve, why don't you just open the link and come join us in the stream? All right.
And coming, having spoken to a few people that haven't read the books and have only watched the show, I think that comes through pretty strong because they've said they've picked up on some things that you would really only be able to get from reading the books, but from
untrue.
Just watching the show, and I think that does come through pretty strong.
Yeah, thanks.
Disgusting.
So our next one is from another community member. This one this one should be a little bit easier for you. And only so only taking into account the book.
The next question is going to be an easy one, guys.
Yeah, okay. I just want to say, Tom. His name is Tom, right? Tom, yeah. Rafe has a couple of spots on his boots that you have not yet licked clean, dude.
It's having no impact on the show whatsoever. Just your love of the books. Is there any particular? And this is from they didn't write it. Are there any particular minor characters that you're passionate about?
Oh my god!
This is the part. This is the part. You guys are going to be unsurprised.
I don't know who was it that his boyfriend played.
He really liked Pavara, guys.
Pavara. Also, Brandon does too. There's a couple of those characters. There's some of the Aes Sedai characters that I.
Oh, really? The Aes Sedai are his favorite minor characters. The wise ones,
as well. That you just like. They end up bleeding their way. I think actually the fans.
Shockingly, none of his favorite characters are male. None of his favorite, even minor characters, right? His favorite character is Egwene, and all of his favorite minor characters are Pavara,
is it a man
Aes Sedai, and the Wise Ones.
Is like obsessed with women, and he doesn't understand them at all. I mean, come on. This is a man that gave us Placentia Snow.
True.
Fans of the books would be. It would be so wild for them to hear the writers' room talk about some of these characters because there's truly because we have a very big mix also of people who know the books versus don't know the books versus have read some.
Why you're season 2 of a show at this point, right? Why have any of the writers not read the books? It's one thing to say some of your writers in season 1 had never read the books before being assigned to this show, right? But if you're a writer for a show and you're getting into season 2, how have you not read the fucking books?
How are you even allowed to work on this without having read the books? That's just ridiculous. That is unacceptable.
Hey!
Yay!
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I agree. It's ridiculous. I thought it was ridiculous in season 1 that they would have writers who hadn't read the books. I would think that it would be one of those things where, cool, you're joining this project, go read the books, right? But certainly by season 2, how do you have a writing room that's full of people who haven't read the books? That's absurd.
All right, give me a quick 2-second recap. What have I missed?
He's just talking about his favorite characters, his favorite minor characters. He said Pavara, some of the Aes Sedai and Wise Ones, and he's talking here about how the writers' room's favorite characters are
some of the books.
Pavara. Wait, hold on.
Yeah, Andrew's red Aes Sedai is sort of yeah, that one. But anyway, he's going into the writer's room, is a big fan of some minor characters here.
That it's like the level of detail that people know these characters. Like everyone in this writer's room, some of them who had never heard of the books before coming to this show, know every name of Leandrin's Black Aja Cabal. And
okay, so when
talk about things that you would cut if you were trying to slim down this series. And every writer in the writer's room knows. He goes on they know everything about these characters. They know their personality and their
But how could they? They didn't.
Traits.
He just said that.
Yeah, he's contradicting himself already. They haven't read anything, and yet they know the whole cabal. I mean, he's also spoiling shit right there if they're going that route, right? I mean, I just woke up, so forgive me.
We have people in the chat going B for Balefire, I think. Yeah, man. I think you're right.
I'm weaving it.
And then why why do they need Susie?
Who?
If
There-
all
there's no-
the
there's
if
no-
all the if all the writers, know everything so deeply.
Yeah.
They
Sarah Nakamura, you mean? It is Nakamura,
Oh,
right?
Sarah,
Miss
sorry.
Sarah.
See, I
confused
can't
'cause you
even
said Susie.
remember
I
her
was so
name.
like,
I'm sorry.
But you
there
can't
you go.
criticize
I
them. That's
effectively-
toxic, guys.
I just effectively block her name because it just, it's so
Anyway,
sad.
okay.
And you missed the dinosaur. He told us his favorite dinosaur,
yeah.
Steve.
You missed out, man. Like, honestly, I wouldn't. Don't even go back and watch this.
Because those are the important questions, right?
Here, I'll give you a recap for people who weren't in the stream earlier. Hard-hitting questions included: what's your favorite dinosaur? What's your favorite Wheel of Time curse word? What kind of fun pranks were you guys doing on the cast and like on the set? And what are you like? What kind of TV shows and movies are you watching right now to unwind?
Yeah, which we've not
So
gotten
they
some
haven't
of
they
that
haven't
yet.
answered any Wheel of Time questions at all.
Not many, yeah.
Except for Leandrin's Cabal is our favorite thing. That's
Oh, Pip.
I'm so happy we get to learn about Leandrin some more too.
And
Hey,
what
Pip.
that we can't have Rand fight Ishii, more than once, like you spot him once already.
Wait, I thought that was
At
the
all?
dark one, Trip. Isn't that the
I
dark
know.
one?
Yeah,
oh wait, we don't know
exactly.
who the frick that was. That's just that's so that we still don't know what the hell happened at the end of the damn show.
He's the
It was
he's
like
the maitre d'.
a fight.
He's the maitre d', the Eye of the World restaurant.
Yeah, well,
And-
they had a nice cry together.
Yeah.
They stole Egwene's accepted test because, of course, that's what you would do, right, in that situation. So everything's good, right? I mean, an unknown male, whether it's the Dark One or Ishmael or whoever the fuck he is, excuse my language, but I woke up and my eyes hurt already.
Your brain will hurt momentarily. It'll match.
And I learned about. Oh, okay. Well, but hey, Leandrin's Cabal, we're all happy that they're going to be around. So
I'm really excited that we didn't have season 1 important events, but we're gonna have all of the Cabal. They're all going to be.
Oh yeah, and what Perva or whatever? Oh boy. Let's get some more. Let's get some more pervy.
We had a technical question from the chat. Can you raise the volume of the video at all?
I don't think so. I think I have it as loud as it gets. So I apologize for you guys. I think that some of it is just as loud as it goes. I'll try and do better on future recordings of shill streams.
I'm gonna have to ask you how Melon works a little better because I don't see anything on the recording screen. I got the stream open though, so
okay.
I don't know.
At the time, like you mentioned earlier, Game of Thrones was pretty much the main fantasy series, and you were really strongly believing. Wheel of Time is very matriarchal, very female forward in a world that doesn't have.
I forgot about this question.
On right now that we have more high fantasy that has these strong female characters, how do you feel Wheel of Time fits into that relevance of the whole world that's now
the important questions
more relevant in.
Gosh, she took so long to ask that damn question.
We updated for a modern audience. We need intersectionality, equity, inclusivity, and diversity.
Yeah.
Oh,
all right. Well, let's hear it. Let's hear his answer. I'm sure
How
it's going to
be say that in this
so woman strong means only female lives matter, right?
Yes.
Well, Leandrin's Cabal, you see, is important. Oh wait, sorry.
Society.
Well, I think the great thing about the Wheel of Time, and when I pitched it, because people have tried to make Wheel of Time TV shows and movies before, but the way that I pitched it and so
I feel like he's actually a catcher, not a pitcher. But
at that time in my career, I was being approached to do a lot of these big projects.
He's a warlock. That's what he is.
Previously on TV and features, and so what I felt when I was reading and looking at a lot of them was that they were chasing something, and my pitch was that Wheel of Time is chasing nothing. Wheel of Time is its own entity, and that it
that you ruined.
At least he has that right. It's his own
Yeah.
entity that you shouldn't touch.
It
Yep,
sure
yep.
is. I'd love to see it on the screen. At some point.
Agreed. But I
Can
think
we
he is.
just look at her face?
Uh,
I just
Yeah, that's like her
I-
question.
I
She thinks she's a cat, doesn't she, Trip? She really thinks she's a cat. She's ready
I'm
to
just
pounce.
glad. I'm just glad that it's actually a unicorn horn taped on the front. It could have been something else.
I think she's wishing.
How do you
she
know
was
it's
a-
not?
I
I
didn't,
think
I didn't even
I
see
think
the
Red,
horn.
she's
red rod
wishing-
Terangrial.
she's wishing that she was a man, because Rafe only likes men.
Oh,
so-
okay. We're gonna play.
Oh,
You know what?
That's a
Okay.
low blow. Nobody would think that looking at Rafe. I mean, come on.
Play
Look at her
the
face,
ball,
look.
not the player. Trip. Come on.
Look at her face.
It's more likely she's looking at this weird, disheveled, bearded thing down there with a unicorn shirt on.
No,
I'm thinking
that's
that, then looking at
a
Rafe.
category.
All right. Let's hear Rafe talk more about the importance of the matriarchy.
Oh my
is what
god.
other things have been chasing for a long time. And I think also that just in the way Wheel of Time is not just about women either. It's about sort of gender.
I wouldn't have learned
in
that
the world
from season one.
and I actually think those messages still-
What did he say? Now you have to back up, because I couldn't hear what he said when he said it's about gender and what?
I'm not backing.
No, only forward. Only forward.
Only going forward. It's only.
I just want another reason to hate him more.
You need more? I have plenty right now. I've only been here for like 5 minutes, and I'm is Daniel here in chat? I bought spare keyboards, Daniel. Okay, just to break on screen for you. Okay, it's gonna happen. Don't you worry.
All right. So he said something about gender. Okay.
Still feel very fresh and very interesting today, and that like there's a lot of pockets within that Robert Jordan opened that the books don't fully go into, but that we can look at in the show, and
that line was, I think, why I left this part in there.
Well, I'm so glad
Robert Jordan
that...
didn't go into this, but we can. Fuck off.
Well, and obviously he practices necromancy or something, so he can speak to the dead and know what Robert Jordan wanted.
No, I think he just feels fully confident asserting it. This is the story Robert Jordan would have written if he was an intersexual feminist writing today.
That's like what Critter said. Like, Robert Jordan just didn't put this in this books because it wasn't like okay at the time. I'm like,
yeah. But let's not talk about the fact that Swan and Moraine in the books were bisexual. They played around with girls while they were novices, and then married men. So that would be bisexual, right? So I guess bi erasure, isn't that a bad thing? I thought that was a bad thing that we're not supposed to.
Yeah, it is, but it happens a lot because they just don't care.
Hold on a hot second here, because I am triggered.
All
right. Why is Rafe's pronouns not in his freaking name? What the fuck?
Oh, no.
Like, I am triggered beyond belief. Why isn't alien thing there or something? Or like
Gina Carano got canceled off Twitter for less.
I can't believe it.
And by the way, Pips, isn't it now Schwarrain or something like that? It's not Schwan and Moraine.
Oh,
it's
fuck!
I like to call it more Swan.
Oh my god! I'm not gonna survive this. I think I need to go back to sleep. I'm sorry.
I love the pain on Steve's face because that's just how we are.
Yeah, so this is a long running debate in the community. I guess I think that people make it so much of a bigger thing than it really is. Like, it was. If they were together, it was, while they were novices in the White Tower when there's no men around. I'm not sure why they would want to make that like a really good, important sort of representation story. But again, like I said, if you want to believe that that was part of their relationship, then that would make them bi, not lesbians. So hey, honor their identity. Stop trying to remove and erase and destroy their identity. Let them be bi, Rafe. Terrible.
Well, they don't
Actually,
like it 'cause they could choose to be straight if they wanted to. And
Yeah.
so they're like gender traitors or whatever the hell they want to call it.
There does seem to be some stuff there, but this is not that kind of stream. So let's keep going.
Yeah, let's keep going.
Traders. Oh my
Although
Candy things that
Buddy
we
the
developed for
Wonder
this, so
Dog
I
has a good point. Tom
Buddy the Wonder Dog.
in
Okay.
chat.
Oh, okay, sorry. Like, wait a sec. I'm like, when did this
Okay,
guy announce him so
How,
fast?
there you go. How can you be he, they?
I think they brought that up before.
Did they? Okay.
I think that it might be if you're more than one man inhabiting the same body. He looks like he might be large enough for that. Maybe.
Oh,
He's
okay. All
Buddy,
right,
I'm sorry,
Jane.
first of all, for missing your chat, but
Sorry.
whatever he is, I'm not, the thing down there with the pink, thing and the pin. He's very confused. He's young. He hasn't hit puberty yet, so he doesn't know what he is. So let's go.
I think it's just as fresh and relevant today as it was when
I've totally just. Is this the same question? I've totally just ignored it.
These sort of
It's unimportant.
statistics on different fandoms for big projects like this.
I think we're almost to the end here. This is my favorite line that he said here. Statistics
on different fandoms. You want to know about fandoms?
Everyone, quiet down here. You have to hear this. This is the most ridiculous thing that's ever been said about the Wheel of Prime show. Are you guys ready? Here it is.
And the Wheel of Time fandom is statistically the best fandom.
We have proof, scientific proof.
Like in terms of being kind and positive. Like for our show, I know there's the crazies, but like it's something like 70% of people who've read all 14 books think the show is as good or better than the books, which is
fuck you.
Yeah, fuck off.
Fuck bullshit. That is amazing. No way. I'm sorry. Like, if you were monetized right now, which I don't know why the White Cloaks aren't monetized, people, let's get on that shit. But I am sorry. No way. The crazies are out there too. Fuck this guy. I'm so sorry. Like, stop it.
This is why we have to make your favorite characters gay, because the fan community is so awesome.
I'm sorry, Lady Billfire, but as good or fucking better. What an asshole.
Yes.
That's like so offensive. I can't even like get angry about it. But I was going to say, like, me and Alex did I still have to edit the third video of this series, but we did a series about fan fiction, and we actually talk about what he's talking about, and we talk about how the communities on Tumblr that have migrated to Twitter and TikTok after they banned porn on Tumblr.
Ooh.
They are like, they're overrepresented. They're very loud. They're very like ideologically one way. So when he goes and looks at this research with the fans, because their voices are amplified by Twitter and stuff like that, that's all you see is this one community of people that are very vocal. And we talk about this, and we talk about the fan service, how basically like the stuff that's being produced now is basically just fan fiction. And it's kind of an interesting conversation. Alex is a great guy. And if you want to watch the videos, yeah, it's on my channel. But we address this point specifically.
I think people should go check that video out. I just want to say some of the comments from the chat here. So the facial expressions of the two individuals who just got dropped that bomb of 70% of people like this more than the
looks
book.
Even more confused,
doesn't he? He's like, you know what? Good on him. He's scratching his head. He's like that's a thing that I don't fucking believe. Is
he's
like
what,
Ray, what
he's like dude. He's like red haired guy, whoever you are. I don't know where I'm at, but that's not something that sounds right at all. Like, why are you sprouting off nonsense? Like, there's no way that stat is like, come on. Like, even like talk about like polling people. Like, they went into a room of their friends and they still only got 70%. They polled the cast and the crew, and they still got 70%. That's where I feel like the stat comes from. Is like they polled a body of people that they needed to get a high number from, and they still only got 70%. Like that's.
I mean,
like,
Steve, you're on Twitter and stuff like that as well. I feel like if you went like at Twitter of Time poll start, like, is the show worse than the books, as good as the books, or better than the books? On Twitter of Time, you'd get a 70%.
Oh,
you
yeah.
would. Those people are off their damn rockers.
Oh no, that's how I think that's that. Yeah.
It is all sort of representation and political tribalism that happens over there. It's just, this is our team, so it's amazing. 10 of 10 on IMDb. I like the number of people who gave it 10 of 10 on IMDb and Twitter of Time.
For no reason. And then it's because most of the time, I mean, God bless Alex, but don't engage those crazy people because there's no talking to them about this. It's just like, why is it good? Because there's nothing relating to Wheel of Time out there, right?
Pip is kind of like the pro at that. He's so polite.
So he's getting better because I don't engage at all. But like the one time I did, like it took about I don't know. It was like 5 or 6. Well, no, it was like I don't know. It took a few responses until finally people started getting to like people with a brain started responding, and then like it's probably the most likes I've got on a Twitter post ever because I made some offhand comment about Rand not showing up or something and like being in the series yet. And it takes a little bit, but eventually people do find it, and that's in that cesspool of just people who are just like, oh, it's the greatest because I don't even. What are we talking about? I don't know.
And Pips, before we move on, all right, we've talked about Lady Unicorn and scratching his head, but look at Rafe's face here. He looks like he's in serious pain saying that.
Can I make an observation? I have to make a quick observation.
Yeah, do it.
He knows who we are. He watches our shit. The crazies, that's us.
No. So I think
we are the crazies.
I think you misheard him. I think he was just saying that it's crazy that 70% of people think it's better than.
No. He says he's like there are the crazies out there, but it's 70% that like it. He says there are the crazy people out there. We're the crazy people.
I refuse to watch this back. So I will accept that that's what he says.
It's probably mostly Shad he's talking about, but whatever.
Oh man. Well, that's actually we've gotten to the end of it. I was hoping to do some news and some other kind of stuff, but hey, full disclosure here. Unfortunately, I have kind of a kind of family situation that I need to go kind of deal with and take care of. So I wanted to kind of wrap this up, hopefully bring it to a conclusion before having to jump off here. So, hey, I really appreciate all of you guys for showing up here in the chat. That's the end of it, by the way. I think the next questions here, and again, I cut these because they were so just inane. We're like, what shows are you watching? What should we call the fandom? What's your favorite Wheel of Time curse word?
What did he call what did he answer for that?
He just said that he really likes Twitter of Time, but he understands we're migrating away from Twitter because, of course, Elon Musk owns Twitter now, so it's evil, guys.
Where are they migrating to? I still haven't figured that out, so I can stay away from it.
I think if the last time that this conversation happened was any indication, I think that they're migrating away from Twitter to Canada, and I don't think we should expect them to do that either.
Sorry, Zach.
Maybe they'll show up on Dane's doorstep.
Yeah, go to Canada. There's a lawyer out there waiting to take you guys out with facts and knowledge.
Right. And they didn't ask about the wheel.
No, they didn't ask about the sex wheel. So all of our questions were so much better than the ones that they asked. Like we were asking like, hey, what was your most favorite character that you butchered? And
well, it doesn't sound like he really answered anything about the show except for Leandrin's Cabal is their favorite.
Yeah. And the questions Prophet was, we think that he got given these questions in advance and like screened them. So like he knew the questions before they asked him. And even then, like he had to sit there and like, pretend like he was thinking really hard, like he didn't have all the answers to his pre-scripted questions. It was, I think I tweeted this out that like this that we just watched collectively, and again, this is a supercut. It went on longer than this. Some of it was just even more ridiculous and not worth showing. Was just such a display in Access Media covering for a non-statement, a non sort of press release by a showrunner to cover for the fact that they have nothing to actually say. So, hey, when is season 2 coming out? Crickets. When are we getting the origin short that you guys promised? Crickets. Like
they didn't give season 2 announcement?
No, nothing.
Oh
so this had absolutely no new information, no announcements. Yeah.
Oh, it's coming out. It's coming out. It's coming out. That's crazy.
So what did we learn? The quote was that I won't say it's a quote. You can go back and watch it, but he basically said that he believes that season 2 will come out in 2023.
Are you that? That's the quote.
He was like, early 2023. No, but like, I think it's highly likely, like, 2023, like that should happen. It's like, as opposed to what, 2026? Like, how damn long does it take to make one season of
They've
bad
been done for a year?
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
Frick?
So I think it's still the C word that we cannot, that we're not going to say. What are they going to blame it on now that they can't blame it on that?
Oh yeah. Well, I don't know, us. But I think it speaks volumes that he made up his fake number about people that are liking the series, and even the host was like, we didn't make that number up, trust us. It's like,
yeah, for sure.
So
all right, well, like I said, I unfortunately have to go. Hey, 20 plus people here in the live stream. You guys are awesome. We thank you guys for the support. We recently started a Subscribestar account and got some subscribers to help us pay for doing these live streams and getting an actual like higher quality sort of streaming product to you guys. So for those of you guys who support us, that's amazing. We are super humbled by the fact that you guys choose to, give us a couple bucks a month or whatever it is to help us make this content and bring it to you guys. We should be doing subscribers only content at some point, to kind of make up for you guys supporting us like that. And, we hope to bring just more stuff generally to you in the future. But for now, Lady B, what do you have coming up?
I am currently editing a reaction video that Alex and I did to this woman named Critter XD's take on the show. And hopefully I'll be making more videos around the start of the new year. I need to get back on my video grind, but I need to learn how to live stream too. So working on that, and you guys have a good Christmas. And Pips, put the subscribe to our link in the video description, please.
I will do that. That is a good idea.
She is so nice and says, please.
She's so much better at this than I am. That's anyway. Steve, what are you doing? What do you got coming out?
Who knows, man? Like, I woke up and I'm like, oh my god, I did it again. But sorry for being late. I may or may not. I think probably tomorrow, a stream on Brandon Sanderson and how he's disappointing me every time he opens his mouth. I guess is the best way to put it.
I know. I thought that you had you had joined when the Brandon Sanderson quote came up in this video, didn't you?
No, I didn't.
Oh, apparently Brandon Sanderson told him that it's the right way to go with season 2 to combine books 2 and 3. Apparently that's the thing.
I guarantee you he didn't. Especially when I haven't watched the video yet, but he released a video defending the Rings of Power, and
when does that video come out?
The video's out. So the video, so I gave a snap reaction to just the title of the video. I haven't watched the video on purpose yet. We're talking about doing it on stream with Amanda Nether and maybe Zach, maybe some other people. We'll see.
Awesome.
But from the tidbits I heard from Mr. Zach 7, they're just using his name as a buzzword at this point because he gave Rings of Power a 5 or 6, which was way too high for that show, and said Wheel of Time was worse than that. So you can't like it that much.
A Wheel of Time was worse than Rings of Power.
Oh, well,
the subject of a future video.
Probably.
Hey,
Dana and I are actually recording. Tryp, what's up?
Did you mention Princess Bride? I'm sorry if I missed that.
No, thank you very much. Yeah, so we're watching The Princess Bride on our Discord tomorrow, and there'll be a live stream associated with that as well, 6 p.m. Eastern. If you want to watch the greatest movie of all time, not Willow. Willow likes over there. Willow was it was so. The Princess Bride.
I never said Willow was the best movie of all time. I just happen to like it better than The Princess Bride.
It's such a bad take.
ADO, you have to watch that stream too, by the way. Like, you haven't seen Princess Bride, and you said you were going to watch it so you could judge and totally get on our side because you know we're right.
He is on the other side of the world right now, by the way.
All right. Well, like I said, thank you guys. It's been awesome to have you guys all in chat. This was a lot of fun. As much as, gosh, it was really bad. The Q&A answers themselves were just non-answers. Nothing interesting. No real answers about the actual questions about the show. It's shocking to me that it's almost over a year. If you go from the date of the finale versus the first episodes. So it's basically a year since the show aired, and we still have basically no information about season 2. That's crazy. That has to signal a lack of support by the studio, right? Like, Lady B, final thoughts here. What do you think about a studio that is allowing it to go over a year without any meaningful news?
Yeah, if I had to guess what's going on, they're trying to bury it. That they don't have like a production slot, because they'll usually just give it like a generic like spring 2023 or whatever. That there's no production like done, and like it's not a popular show. Like, when did it even come out originally? Like, it was in March, right? November. Okay.
Yeah, it was before. Yeah, it was November. Yeah.
And so it's not like they're not going to give any of the good slots. And like, November is really kind of the sweeps time when the fall where they get new TV and stuff. So they're not going to waste a lot of like advertising to try to make this big, because it wasn't. And why would they? And as much as people are like, well, Amazon can just waste money. I mean, at the end of the day, it's $80 million. They just lost $1 billion on Rings of Power. It's like, I can't see them, even if they can just throw the money away, like wanting to make such a stupid decision.
But I think they're sort of leaving the option open to maybe release it depending on if Rings of Power was successful, right? So I think it speaks volumes that they haven't said anything after the debacle that is the Rings of Power. Amazon doesn't seem to like to release more than one show at a time, and they have Jack Ryan's coming out next, so that's, they have a pretty stacked lineup.
Yeah, so I think there's only a few windows in 2023 for them to release. I'm personally projecting summer or fall of next year. So I think that we're at least 6 months away.
Probably. Yep.
And so, hey, if I had to put a pin in it, I think, August, September is probably when I would say 2023 we might see it. If we end up being right, you heard it here on the White Cloaks first.
There you go. Pips is clairvoyant. But
exactly. maybe by then summer, we can, like I could see summer too. That's kind of
summer, spring. Yeah, I think that's probably right. But maybe we can get our stuff together by then and actually get a plan out. We'll figure that out.
Yeah, for sure. All right, guys. Well, hey, thanks for watching. It's been a lot of fun. I'll say, walk in the light, and Steve,
all hail the Lord Dragon.
All right. Good night, guys.
Night.
Good night.